one of the most epic and emotional historical films ever made, Joan of Arc from 1948. This movie is massive in scale, full of passion, faith, and sacrifice, and behind the scenes, it is just as many powerful stories as the film itself. So sit back, relax, and let's uncover 20 hidden facts about Joan of Arc that most people never hear about. Fact 1. A movie born from Ingrid Bergman's obsession. This entire film exists because Ingrid Bergman truly believed she was meant to play Joan of Arc. Years before the movie was even approved, she carried a biography of Joan with her everywhere she went. She talked about the character constantly and even performed the role on Broadway in a stage version written specifically for her. That stage performance was a huge success and convinced producers that Bergman could carry such a demanding role on screen. Without her passion and persistence, this movie probably never would have been made at all. It was not a studio idea, it was an actress fighting to bring a historical figure she loved to life. Fact 2. One of the most expensive films of its time. Joan of Arc was insanely expensive for 1948. The budget was around $4.5 million, which was enormous back then. Adjusted for inflation, that would be tens of millions today. The money went into giant sets, massive battle scenes, thousands of extras, and elaborate costumes. RKO wanted this film to feel grand and prestigious, almost like a moving painting. Every frame was designed to look important and timeless. That huge budget also raised expectations sky high and unfortunately made the film's box office performance feel more disappointing than it really was. Fact 3. Ingrid Bergman aged herself for the role. At the time of filming, Ingrid Bergman was in her early 30s while Joan of Arc was a teenager. Instead of trying to hide her age, Bergman leaned into the emotional maturity of Joan. She even worked with makeup artists to slightly age herself in certain scenes, especially during the trial and imprisonment. The idea was to show how suffering and responsibility had hardened Joan far beyond her years. This choice made the performance feel heavier, more tragic, and more human, even if it wasn't historically perfect. Fact 4. Real metal armor was used. Those armor pieces you see in the battle scenes are not lightweight props. Many of them were real metal replicas based on historical designs. They were heavy, uncomfortable, and exhausting to wear, especially under hot studio lights. Ingrid Bergman reportedly struggled during long shooting days, but refused to complain because she felt Joan herself would never complain. The weight of the armor helped her physical performance, making her movements feel slower, stronger, and more grounded than a typical Hollywood hero. Fact 5. The battle scenes were chaotic on purpose. Director Victor Fleming wanted the battles to feel confusing, loud, and overwhelming instead of clean and heroic. Extras were told to move unpredictably, shout over each other, and sometimes even block the camera accidentally. Fleming believed real medieval combat would feel terrifying and disorganized, and he wanted the audience to experience that. This approach was very different from the polished action scenes audiences were used to in the 1940s, and it made the battles feel raw and exhausting. Fact 6. Victor Fleming's health affected the film. Victor Fleming was already in poor health during production, and the intense schedule made things worse. He was known for being a tough, demanding director, but on Joan of Arc the strain was obvious. Some scenes took longer than planned because Fleming needed breaks. Assistant directors stepped in more than usual. Despite this, Fleming pushed himself because he believed this film would be one of his greatest achievements. Sadly, it would be one of his last major projects. Fact 7. The script was constantly rewritten. The screenplay went through endless revisions. Writers struggled to balance history, religion, and drama without offending audiences. Some drafts focused heavily on Joan's visions, while others downplayed them to avoid controversy. Ingrid Bergman herself gave input on dialogue, believing Joan should speak simply and honestly rather than poetically. The final script is a compromise, which is why some scenes feel very quiet and reflective, while others are large and theatrical. Fact 8. The church was carefully consulted. Because Joan of Arc is a Catholic saint, the filmmakers worked closely with religious advisors. They wanted to avoid accusations of disrespect or inaccuracy. Priests were consulted on dialogue, costumes, and even how prayers were spoken. This level of caution slowed production, but gave the film a sense of seriousness and reverence. It also explains why the movie treats Joan's faith with sincerity instead of skepticism, which was unusual for Hollywood at the time. Fact 9. The color process was cutting edge. The film was shot in Technicolor, which was still relatively rare for serious historical dramas. Technicolor cameras were bulky and required intense lighting. Actors often complained about the heat, but the rich colors allowed the filmmakers to create a painterly look inspired by medieval art. The reds, blues, and golds were carefully chosen to symbolize passion, faith, and royalty. This visual style helped the movie stand out even decades later. Fact 10. Ingrid Bergman cried for real in many scenes. Several emotional moments were not acted tears. Ingrid Bergman was deeply affected by the material and the pressure she felt to honor Joan's legacy. During the trial scenes, she reportedly became overwhelmed and cried naturally. Fleming often kept the cameras rolling because the emotion felt genuine. These moments give the film its emotional weight and explain why Bergman's performance is still praised today. Fact 11. The trial scenes were based on real transcripts. Large portions of Joan's trial dialogue were taken directly from historical records. The real trial transcripts still exist, and the writers used them as a foundation. This gives the courtroom scenes a documentary-like feel. Joan's sharp, intelligent responses surprised audiences who expected her to be portrayed as naive. These scenes highlight her courage, intelligence, and unshakable faith more than any battle sequence. Fact 12. The film was too serious for some audiences. When Joan of Arc was released, some viewers found it slow and heavy. Audiences in the late 1940s were craving escapism and lighter entertainment. This movie demanded patience and emotional engagement. Critics admired its ambition, but noted it lacked warmth and humor. Over time, however, the seriousness became part of its legacy, making it feel more like a historical document than a traditional Hollywood epic. Fact 13. Bergman's accent was a deliberate choice. Instead of attempting a French accent, Ingrid Bergman used her natural voice with slight adjustments. The filmmakers believed forced accents would distract audiences. At the time, this was common practice. What mattered more was emotional clarity than linguistic accuracy. This choice helped modern audiences connect with Joan on a human level rather than seeing her as a distant historical figure. Fact 14. Thousands of extras were used. The film employed thousands of extras for its large-scale scenes. Many were costume department workers, studio employees, and even family members of crew. Managing these crowds was difficult and expensive. Fleming sometimes filmed the same group multiple times from different angles to make the armies appear even larger. The result is a sense of scale that few films of the era could match. Fact 15. The music was designed to feel spiritual. Composer Hugo Friedhofer created a score that blends traditional orchestral music with religious tones. Choir-like arrangements were used to suggest Joan's inner connection to God. The music rarely tells the audience how to feel. Instead, it supports the emotional atmosphere quietly. This restraint was intentional and helped keep the film from feeling melodramatic. Fact 16. The film won a technical Oscar. Despite mixed reactions, Joan of Arc won the Academy Award for Best Costume Design and Color. The costumes were praised for their detail, authenticity, and symbolism. Each outfit reflected a character's status and moral position. Joan's clothing becomes simpler as the film progresses, emphasizing her humility and sacrifice. This Oscar win remains one of the film's proudest achievements. Fact 17. The burning scene was carefully staged. The execution scene was one of the most difficult to film emotionally and technically. Real flames were used, but carefully controlled. Ingrid Bergman stood on a platform surrounded by fire effects, while safety crews stood just out of frame. Fleming wanted the scene to feel horrifying but respectful. The camera avoids exploitation, focusing on Joan's face rather than the violence. Fact 18. The movie damaged Bergman's career temporarily. Shortly after the film's release, Ingrid Bergman's personal life became public and controversial. Hollywood turned against her, and many of her films were re-evaluated unfairly. Joan of Arc suffered because of this backlash. For years, the film was overlooked despite its quality. Only later was Bergman's performance fully appreciated again. Fact 19IT inspired later Joan of Arc films. Future portrayals of Joan of Arc borrowed heavily from this movie. The serious tone, the focus on faith, and the courtroom emphasis became standard elements. Even modern adaptations echo Bergman's quiet strength and emotional intensity. Her performance helped define how Joan is remembered in popular culture. Fact 20IT aged better than expected. While Joan of Arc was not a massive hit in 1948, it has aged surprisingly well. Modern viewers appreciate its sincerity, craftsmanship, and emotional depth. In a world of fast-paced editing and spectacle, this film feels slow but powerful. It stands as a reminder that cinema can be thoughtful, spiritual, and deeply human. And that's at 20 hidden facts about Joan of Arc from 1948. This movie may not be perfect, but it's filled with passion, heart, and history. If you enjoy classic films and the stories behind them, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which classic movie you want next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.